guys for tuning in and welcome back to Riyo Conversations. I'm so excited for today's conversation. It is going to be kind of like a debate, kind of like a voting system. It is about Canada versus England. Or, as I like to say, Toronto versus London, and not London, Ontario, London, England. I've been living in Canada for about four and a half years now, and there are so many times that people come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, which do you prefer? Do you like London or do you like Toronto? Do you prefer England or Canada? And so when I put out the question to you guys of what you think I should do in terms of my next video, and I got so many responses of, which do you prefer more? Canada or Toronto? You have a British accent, which do you prefer more? Canada or Toronto? So it made a lot of sense to do this video. So it was really fun for me to shoot this. I hope you guys enjoy it. Without further ado, guys, let's get into the video, okay? It's Canada versus England. You are British living in Canada. Be prepared to hear people say to you, but isn't London more expensive? It happens all the time. Like, I cannot... if I count on one hand the amount of times a person finds out I'm British and says to me that London is expensive in a day, I run out of fingers to count. Like, funnily enough, for bills and groceries, which is this section, I am actually going to pick England. I think they do it better. And I know taxes are a thing, like, I get it. Taxes are a must and someone has to pay them and everything like that, but I really do prefer London. I really do. Like, I enjoy the fact that, like, if I walk into a supermarket with £10, I walk out with my groceries, £10 worth of groceries. I don't have to worry that I don't have enough because tax was added on. Like, I love, they're gonna get over the fact that, like, if I walk in with $10, I have to make sure what I'm buying with taxes under $10. That will forever bug me. Like, I cannot. There are apps and stuff like that you can get. Like, I fully respect couponers now. I totally understand the people that coupon. I don't coupon as cool as they do, but I have an app called Flip, F-L-I-P-P, and they're a pretty good app because what they do is they get all the supermarkets that you usually shop at, and they get all the like weekly offers and stuff like that, because usually they put out, most supermarkets will put out a flyer, so they get all of those flyers together with all the special offers and everything like that, and you basically can kind of select which places to buy what from and what's cheaper where, and it gives you that opportunity so you don't end up going to a supermarket buying something and then going to another supermarket and finding out that what you bought at that supermarket is cheaper at this supermarket. So that, like, I've become that person. I like preemptively shop. I know where I'm gonna go before I leave my house, which for me is a fun thing because I've never been a fan of shopping in the first place. I don't do my shopping on a Saturday because there's always a lot of people out on a Saturday, and I just can't do that many people in a supermarket or standing in line like for that long surrounded by people like barging into you and stuff like that. I'm not that person, so I never do my shopping on a Saturday. But like, it's cool having that app because I know exactly which shops to go to. So if you're in Canada and you've been wondering how to get like cheaper shopping and stuff like that, download the app Flip. In terms of phone bills, one thing, I think bills and groceries was the main reason why I picked England, because in terms of phone bills in London, if you don't top up your phone, you can still receive phone calls. You can still get text messages, emails, all of that. Whereas in Canada, if you don't pay your bill or you don't top up your phone line gets shut down until you pay it. So if you like, and I like remember like the first time I got my phone, I forgot my top up day. So I literally was walking around with a phone that wasn't getting any text messages or any phone calls or anything, and I'm sitting there wondering like, what's going on? Like, I swear my phone is supposed to be working right now. Like, what is happening? Only to find out that no, I'd forgotten to top up, and because I'd forgotten to top up, my phone wasn't working. Like, you actually will call someone and be like, the number you're calling is currently unavailable, and it will say that up until you pay your bill, which is like so annoying. It's such a stressful process. It drives me crazy. So I think because of those the phone bills and the groceries, that is the reason why I picked England, because those are things that like I miss that. Also in Canada, you have to pay for your bank account. So you basically not pay for your bank account, but you basically get charged every time you use your debit card. So some banks have, if you give you like 1 to 3 transactions, and it's like $5 every month for using your debit card 3 times, 1 to 3 times. And some like like the more you use it, the more you have to pay. Some banks, luckily my bank, also have like this cap that you can enforce, where you pay 1 set fee and it gives you unlimited transactions on your bank account. And that shocked me because in London, we don't have that. Like, you can use it's your debit card. You can use it as much as you. First time they took out my service charge, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I went into the bank and I was like, hi, you guys took money from my account. Why? And what is this service charge? I'm not buying any services from you guys. Like, I was not with it. And the lady's like, no, ma'am, to use your account, there is a charge. But yeah, that shocked me a lot as well. Like, I don't know, I feel like saying, like, when I talk about the finance aspect of it, I feel like I sound like a really pampered kid, because in England I didn't have to do certain things, and now I've come here and there's so much that I have to get used to. Travel and transit, I'm gonna have to go with England. I love TfL. I think TfL is amazing. I know it confuses people sometimes because it seems like just a bunch of scribbles with stations on it, but it's actually, when you're using it, it's actually not as hard as it seems. I like that everything is connected. I like that London has 24-hour buses. I like that they have night buses that come frequently, because people realize, or TfL at least seems to realize, that people don't want to be out at night waiting at a bus for a bus. That's just really stressful. So like, you get like pretty frequent night buses. I like that I can buy a weekly bus pass like towards the end of the month, and if the end of the month runs into another month, I can use the bus pass the whole way through. Whereas here, the last time I bought a weekly pass, I ended up paying full price for the weekly pass, but only being able to use it to the end of the month, which for me made no sense, because it was like, but I bought it for a week, but I can only use it for a certain amount of days because the month ends. Like, it was weird. I do like the TTC transfer system, which basically is, in London, when you get on the bus, you have to pay. You have to pay, but if you pay in cash, which not many people do nowadays, but if you pay in cash, when you get off the bus to get onto another bus, you have to pay in cash again. Whereas in Toronto, if you pay in cash, the driver will give you a transfer, which looks like a flimsy piece of paper, like a receipt. And for the next 2 hours, if you switch buses or go to get on a train, you can take that with you and show it, so you don't have to pay again. I mean, that's such a cool system. I think London needs a system like that. It would be very cool if London had a system like that, because I remember when I went back to visit, I paid to get on a bus, got off that bus, and had to pay to get on another bus. And it wasn't even like a long journey, but I still had to pay. And it was like, oh man, like, I miss this about Canada. One of the things that frustrates me the most about TTC is that there are so many apps. There are so many apps that you can download and use to be able to kind of time yourself to know when the bus is coming. And yet, still, it doesn't change anything. The bus is still going to get there when the bus chooses to get there. And it's like, ugh, why am I using this app then? Also with TTC, it seems a whole lot more people seem to disrupt the tracks. That people always jumping on the tracks. People always like going through that gate that they're not supposed to go to, and then like messing up everyone's journey. It's so annoying. I've literally been stuck on a train in a tunnel for an hour because someone decided to just walk onto the tracks when they weren't supposed to, and they didn't know if there was a threat, so they had to call the police to come and make sure that there was no damage done and to arrest this person. And like, it's like, can you not? I'm gonna be a bit biased on this one because I've only ever had my own apartment in Canada. I did a price conversion on the rent that I pay here in like terms of what it would be in British pounds, and it ended up coming to like pretty much next to nothing. I'm pretty lucky because the apartment I have is utilities and hydro included, and the only extra cost I have to pay is for my internet. Toronto is a great place to live, because I keep saying Canada, but I am based in Toronto. Like any other city or like any other area that you move to, obviously living closer to the city is a tad more expensive. I don't live in the city, so I don't live in Toronto. I live just outside of Toronto, which is like, if I put Toronto on my mail, I would still get my mail. So it's like an odd It's like really odd, but like I kind of live in Toronto, but I also kind of don't live in Toronto. I live like more in the like outskirts of Toronto, but I can like get to Toronto fairly easily because I live on a train line. If you're living downtown, price wise, cheapest apartment you're probably looking at is at least 12 to 1800, and that's not even a condo. That's like just a regular apartment. They have a lot of student housing basically because there are a lot of students who don't want to live on campus and want their own space. But the student housing is exactly that. It's student housing. Like you can find a good affordable place if you look hard enough. When you pay rent, it's not just rent. You're paying rent, you're paying utility, and you're paying hydro. And then if you want like a phone line or like internet, you've got all of those as well. Again, as I said before, I'm pretty lucky in the sense that my landlord has kind of consolidated all of that or like mushed everything together. I'm a bit biased only because in England, when I was living in England, I was living with my mum. I lived with my mum, I lived with my sister, and then I did like some live-in nanny work. So I never actually had to get like my own apartment in London. So I think in terms of like apartment independence, I didn't actually get that until I actually left London. So that's the reason why I'm picking Canada when I think housing and rent. Like if you are thinking of moving to Canada, like I'd say plan ahead in terms of where you're gonna stay, and like you may get a few good Airbnbs, but just be very aware because some Airbnbs out here are pretty shoddy. Place I think has the best people and the worst people, I'm gonna actually say both. I'm gonna say both. I can't pick one or the other because that's like being like, that's like judging an entire country, or in this case an entire province or city, based off of the few people that I've met. Like I've not met every single Torontonian, I've not met every single Canadian. I know that Canada is rumoured to have the nicest people in the world. Canada's apparently one of the most politest places in the world. And I remember hearing that before I got here, and then I got here and I remember meeting my first meanie and I was like, wow. This is not what they said in the brochure. Canadians do say sorry often. I remember when I first got here, I actually got trapped in a sorry off, which if you don't know what a sorry off, it is pretty much like, it is what it sounds like. So I was riding my bike down the street and I went to turn and some guy went to turn at the same time and we ended up colliding with each other. It was my fault because I saw him coming. I stopped to apologize. He then felt the need to apologize back, and then I felt like I have to say sorry back. Like, and it was just like a good 10 minutes of us going back and forth of just like, sorry, no, sorry, no, it's okay, look, I'm sorry, okay, sorry, look, no, sorry, okay, look, sorry. And like legit, it was weird. Like walking away from it, I remember thinking to myself, like, did we just stand there going back and forth with sorries? But like it was weird, but it was Canadian. Everyone who I've said it to, like who's heard about it, is like, oh, that's like the ultimate Canadian experience. And it's like, what? I've had racist encounters in England and I've had racist encounters in Canada as well. But I've met some pretty interesting people who you meet them and it almost feels like it's surreal. Like you're like, you can't actually exist. You can't actually exist. Like I've had people who have like come up to me and they've told me I'm faking my accent and I'm trying to sound British because I don't want to appear uncultured like my people. I've actually had someone say that to me and I laughed. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do in that sort of situation. I've had people who like come up to me and like touch my hair. I've had a woman who literally reached out her hand, grabbed my hair, and my hair is in braids, but she reached out her hand, grabbed my hair and was like, I love your dreads. And I've never, like, I was so torn in that moment. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to punch this woman or if I wanted to like correct her or if I wanted to shy away and shrivel up into a prune because this complete stranger that I don't know has just reached her hand out into my personal bubble and just like touched my hair. And like, yes, you can stand there and be like, oh my god, but it's not your hair, it's braids, but it's attached to my head, don't touch it. It's that simple. I think I've kind of developed an understanding of the people of Toronto. Like, there are nice people, there are mean people. Like anywhere that you will travel in the world, there are nice people, there are mean people. People who met me when I first got to Canada all thought I was Jamaican. All of them thought I was Jamaican because here in Toronto, apparently if you're black, you're Jamaican. It's unheard of that you would be black and be African, and it seems so weird. And I remember getting called exotic a lot, like, hold up, you're black, you're not Jamaican, and you have a British accent. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's really disconcerting when people highlight it, because, and I get what it is, like, you sound different from the people that they're used to, but it's really annoying when people like come up to you, especially people that you don't know, and they feel the need to mimic your accent, especially when they don't know you. So you're walking down the street and you meet somebody and they start talking to you and you're like, oh, hi. And they're like, oh my gosh, are you British? Adults tell me that I sound like Peppa Pig. Like, I get it, you're a parent, you're forced to watch Peppa Pig, but please don't tell me I sound like Peppa Pig. That's not cool. Britain does not have a filter. In comparison to Canadian people, British people just kind of say it like it is. Whereas Canadians, I think that's what makes them more polite. That's what makes them come off as polite, because they stop and think before they say something. Whereas with British people, like, something pops into our head and we're like, we're going to just say it. For weather, we're going to tie it up again. For weather, we're going to tie it up. It's both. I love London because I love rain. And I'm not going to build into that stereotype that it's always raining in London. It's like constant downpour. It's not a constant downpour. I wish it was a constant downpour in London. I would so love that. It's not a constant downpour. It doesn't rain as often as you would think. It does rain often, but it's not as, like, the movies portray. Like, every movie I've seen, when they get to London, it's raining. It's like, oh, we're going to London, better pack an umbrella. Like, it's like, come on. It's not that bad. That's like saying if you're coming to Canada, make sure you have snow boots, because there's a strong possibility that it's going to snow. London does have okay summers, but I prefer Canadian summers. I like Canadian summers because it actually feels like summer. Like, it feels like the sun is out, you want to go to the beach, you want to head down and just kind of soak your toes in the water. Like, it's that feeling you get, you know. Like, I personally love going to Toronto Island in the summer. I love going to Toronto Island and going to, like, the beach on Toronto Island, and just kind of, there's always like families running around and stuff like that, but like, if you take a good book and like a blanket, you can just lay out in the sun and just kind of read, and I love that. So for me, like, if I get the opportunity to, I love doing that. If I was to choose which weather I like the most, I can't choose which one I like the most, because there are certain things about the winter, like, that I enjoy, and then there are certain things about the winter that I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy the dirty streets in the winter. I don't like the fact that whenever it snows, for some reason people seem to think it's okay to just not pick up after their dog. So, like, you're trying to enjoy the snow and, like, trudge through the snow and, like, make snow angels, but then you also don't want to lie on the ground, because if you lie on the ground, somebody may have not picked up after their dog, and you could potentially lie in that dog's poop, and that's a whole lot. Like, but then there are things I love about it. Like, I love how amazingly bright the streets look when you leave your house, and, like, it's nighttime, but, like, you can see everything so clear, or, like, it's like a sheet of white. I think it's so beautiful. I love that, and I love Canadian summers, so I can't pick. I also love when it rains in London. When it rains in London, our streets are clean. So London's had a few heat waves. It was almost hilarious to a degree to see the amount of people who just weren't prepared for it, and it showed you as well just how unprepared London is for, like, actual summer. I've heard from a few of my family and friends that, like, there have been a few more heat wave days and stuff like that, and it's always, like, shocking to me when I hear it, because it seems like London got all the cool weather and stuff like that after I left. So London, you're welcome, because apparently if I didn't leave, you guys wouldn't have got any nice weather. At least that's what I want to tell myself. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to tell myself. Events and social life. I'm going to say Canada wins this one. Now, there is a reason why. Now, before I get into why Canada wins this, I will say that I do miss the social aspect of London. But I also have come to realize that a lot of the things I miss about the social aspect of London were, like, things that happened specifically in the area that I lived in, the area that I grew up in, where, like, when we had African Cup of Nations or the World Cup, like, whenever, like, Ghana or Nigeria was playing, like, you could hear it going down the street, like, people coming out of their houses going, we won, we did it, yes, we are amazing, like, and, like, it's, like, you could hear that, and that was, like, our social. You had, like, Tottenham Carnival and all of that. Like, Tottenham Carnival was the only carnival I went to. I never went to Notting Hill Carnival. Is it Notting Hill Carnival or is it Nottingham Carnival? I don't remember. I don't know, though, for sure, because I never actually went, because every time I would say, oh my gosh, this seems like something a lot of people are going to, I would remember that it's a carnival where people are walking down the street and clustering around you. And my anxiety and my social awkwardness just wouldn't allow for me to be in such a situation. I did have like Tottenham Carnival, and we did have like T4 in the park. We had V Music Festival, I think it was V Music Festival in Finsbury Park. But there were like a few things, but there's like a schedule for it. There's like a very set schedule for it, and like a lot of the events that happened, like there wasn't really a choice in events to go to. It was like, there are these events, like pick which one you want to go to, or go to all of them. And that just, for me, it wasn't my thing. And I always have felt like, tourist wise, you could see London in a week. You could see London in a week and a half, if anything, at best. But there isn't really much else. Like, you could kind of do a lot of the stuff in a day, which isn't a bad thing, because everything is pretty much connected. So you can literally walk from one place to another and do the whole thing in a day, and you're good to go. Like, that's it. You've seen what London is to see. Like, and I kind of got to a point where it felt like almost like not boring, but like repetitive. Like, you can only see the changing of the guards so many times before you're like, okay. Like Toronto specifically, Canadians will celebrate anything. Like, every weekend there seems to be an event happening. Like, if I was to go into my Facebook now, because I belong to a few event pages, I will find an event that I can go to, free or paid for, or like cost effective wise. Like, there is always something happening. You can always find stuff. Like, there are times where I will be like, I'm just gonna go hang out downtown, and I'll jump on the train, get like my books and stuff like that together, and I'll just go downtown with the intent to just go sit in like a coffee shop and read or write or type up something. And I'll be walking down the street and stumble into like a music festival that you're like, when did this come about? And then they're just like, oh, today's like Jazz Appreciation Day, and you're like, what? Is that like worldwide, or did you just come up with that? Because that is essentially what it feels like. It feels like you literally leave your house and someone like woke up in the morning and it's like, I want to have an event today, and so they're just gonna go and do it. And that's what it feels like. There's always something to do. Also, so many different sort of like social activities and stuff like that. Like, I know Now Magazine has Free Flicks Monday, which basically is every first Monday of the month you get to watch, someone now picks a movie that highlights that month, and you get to go watch a movie for free on Monday. The first Monday, only the first Monday. There's Christie Pitts Park, where they sometimes do like movies in the park, where you literally just go with your friends, take a blanket, sit down and watch a movie, and like, it's free, but you can donate if you like feel like putting a bit of cash into a bucket. You can do that too. But there's like so many different things. There's so many different things to do. So in terms of social activities and social life and all that sort of stuff, I would definitely say Canada wins. I know most of you are watching this like, what about clubbing? What about the nightlife? Again, if you haven't figured this out from like the fact that I don't do carnivals and big crowds, I'm not a clubbing person. I've been clubbing in Canada once, and I went to Sneaky D's. If you're Torontonian, you know exactly what Sneaky D's is. It's basically like a restaurant / bar / nightclub all rolled into one, and I went like during my first year here, and I'm not a clubbing person, so for me it wasn't like a great night. I went because a friend was leaving and she wanted to do like a quick thing, like a quick kind of night out before she left, and so we all went with her. But I pretty much spent the entire night talking to the coat check girl and the bouncers who were like on the inside, making sure everything was safe, because that's me. I'm not a party animal. I don't know how to do it. With England, you kind of have to be keyed into the scene, whereas in Toronto, keyed in, keyed out, you're gonna stumble into something regardless. Very quick disclaimer, as well as thanking you guys for watching the video, I also want to just basically say, this is not a video of me bashing one place. If you disagree or agree with any of the stuff I've said, comment, get involved in the conversation, because that's what this channel is about. Remember, it's about having real conversations with Riyo. So please get involved in the conversation. It'd be really cool. Don't forget, if you have a topic or a subject you want me to talk about, hit me up. Again, all of my social media stuff will be in the bottom. Feel free to hit me up and drop some topics. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for joining the conversation, and until our next one, have a great day.